Let's get straight to the point. In my most recent video, I explained why I thought dive was too strong. That video hit the algorithm and a lot of hate came my way. Now, there was some arguments which were very good and very respectful, but the vast majority of them were just pure disrespectful and playing into my point made 7 seconds into my original video at. I debunked all of those hate comments point by point, but I just want to make a video on the worst arguments I came across. Side note, the gameplay you are seeing this whole video is me playing Magic, which is my second most played character in the new season. Let's start with the first person called the Malboro Man 3. I'll break down his argument line by line. He says, "Your arguments are bad, and pretending to be some logic lord is cringe." But later on he says he didn't watch past the 4 minutes and 59 second mark, which was only 40.6% of the way through the video, which was about 11 minutes and 51 seconds. Not even to mention, he didn't even make it to the part of the video where it was mostly only me speaking and no other clips from anyone else. So him saying I'm pretending to be some logic lord that is cringe, while him at the same time not hearing the vast majority of my video and points, while he talks for everyone in the game, isn't a great look or an argument. He also proves my point of belittling the opposite side, which I made at the 7-second mark in my video. And yet, every time someone raises the issue, the response is always the other side trying to belittle them. So I guess the parts which he did watch he forgot. He continues, "For a streamer, it's a hero shooter, so hero being OP and shutting down playstyle is relevant." He's referencing this clip.
I think dive is bad this season purely because Panther and Magic and Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man doesn't get affected as much because he flies a lot. But I genuinely believe that all of these characters are so bad because Hela is really OP.
But Hela being good doesn't mean dive is bad. Now, a little off script here. After playing Magic a lot after writing this script, I can say Hela is definitely not the best counter to dive. She's not even close. I see her as very easy to deal with. I'm not sure if it's just because I'm playing Magic, but I never have problems with her. It's always Emma. Even Namor, without his team up, he doesn't seem that powerful. I find it very easy to take both of them out, so that's an extra point, I guess, to my script and to my arguments. Hela is a very good counter to air attacks and great for damage in general. Hela is not primarily used for protecting supports, but she is equally, if not a better threat to supports as she is dive. I know that firsthand experience. He continues, "Second streamer, the chatter didn't give any substantial argument, and therefore a substantial counter argument isn't needed. He didn't insult the chatter, he gave his opinion and said the chatter was mad. Considering chatter basically said he was biased because he plays dive is fair. I'm not watching the rest. No point." He is referencing this clip in my video.
Dive is OP, 3 supports is more broken. Dive is not that OP. It's just good. It's not OP though. Is this the dive player? I mean, I'm just objectively correct and you guys are mad.
To put simply, the chatter said that dive is broken, but 3 supports is more broken. Necro says no, it's not. The chatter says that's only because Necros is a dive main. The Necro says he is objectively correct, and the chatter is just mad. Which, another side note, I was a support main for most of my Marvel Rivals career, and Necros has primarily played dive. I don't think he's ever played support in this game. I don't think he has in years. And in his most recent video, he said he will play support because Bulgar challenged him to, but not now. So he's waiting for the buffs. So he's not even going to play during what the strike is about, which is the unbalanced point system and ranked, and supports feeling like they can't fight anything.
I want him to play strategist for a week straight and see how far he gets.
All right, so, I'll do it. I'll do it, but I can't do it now.
And his argument is that he played support in a completely different game years ago. So that says a lot. So did not only this commenter admit he didn't watch the majority of my video or my points, but he also tries to label me based off the few arguments which he did see. He comes back to say, "I don't need to watch the majority of the video to conclude the 2 arguments I watched before were bad. This is what I mean when I say you have bad arguments." Well, first off, these 2 sentences are repetition, and I already explained on several levels why your arguments don't hold up. He continues, "I didn't say you called yourself some kind of logical or this cringe. I said you were pretending to be one." He says this he didn't watch most of my video, and is ignoring the vast majority of my points. Not even mentioning I never said what I said was 100% truth and not affected by bias in any way. Hela does have to do with dive. She guns them down on approach. Are you arguing that she can't kill dive characters? She has 0 impact on dive teams? Clearly she is relevant. Not once did I say Hela has 0 impact on dive or isn't relevant. That's them taking what I said out of context and twisting it to fit their argument. An already telltale sign that this commenter is getting desperate. Hela isn't a specialty for defending against dive characters. If you want to go by that logic, any character who does a good amount of damage is a dive counter, which I know a lot of dive players say that anyway. Saying someone is mad isn't an argument. If we're being that sensitive, then saying someone is biased and inherently wrong because they play a certain style is also an insult, so it cancels it out. He doesn't address them at all first and doesn't doesn't insult them. Well, I can tell you don't know what you're talking about, trust me, it's very obvious. Let me play some clips from the clip which you are talking about.
The reason why people want a Spider-Man nerf is because they can't handle skillful dive characters ever being good in a game, in a hero shooter. They can't comprehend it. It needs to just be hit scan. The AoE and hitbox strength on Spider is ridiculous. Okay, you're fucking stupid. Anyone who complains about the uppercut is like literally a Reddit frog, bro. That's how I know you're a Redditor. You're legitimately a Reddit. You actually didn't make that opinion up on your own. You read it on Reddit. You can't think for yourself.
So no, they aren't the same thing. I didn't ignore what you said, I explained why you were wrong. I even did paragraphs for each point you made so you wouldn't get confused, but apparently it didn't work. First, he admits he didn't watch most of my video, but then says he isn't ignoring what I said. But didn't you say last time that you didn't know what I was talking about anyway? So wouldn't you be the confused one in this situation? And I was the first one in the reply to use paragraphs in this debate, so you saying you put your arguments in paragraphs not confuse me just to get confused by words which are in paragraph form? Wouldn't that just be pure hypocrisy and projecting? So you agree her being OP has an impact on dive and therefore relevant, which directly contradicts what you said in the video. In the video, I said this. Let's be honest. Hella being good isn't an argument for dive being bad. That's an argument of Hella needing a nerf. Same with Hawkeye. An overpowered character is equally detrimental to all characters, but just because she could impact dive doesn't mean that's her purpose or what she's best at. With that logic, for the extreme, I could say Jeff is a very good anti the thing because Jeff could impact him. Always like I said, your arguments are bad and this is boring, and I simply replied to him. If the argument is so boring, will I keep replying and resorting to twisting words and ignoring on what came before? If you ask why I keep replying, I have one word for you. Algorithm. Which it did work. He came back one last time. Let's see how he did for his final argument, his last Hail Mary. But Hella is good at it. That's the guy's entire argument, but you say not an argument for dive being bad, but it is. Because Hella destroys dive heroes like the guy said. And he repeats himself on already disproved point. But let me repeat, just because Hella is good does not mean dive is bad. People are saying dive is the meta right now. I could say Hella being good makes support bad, but you all know that isn't true. Support is still good. She's a very good disruptor of the backline if she gets a vantage point in a flank. The guy you are responding to is saying Hella destroys dive heroes and your response is not an argument for dive being bad, but if you don't agree with him, just say that. His argument is perfectly coherent and better than yours. Well, first off, you were repeating yourself word for word, not just in the same argument, but in the same reply back to back. And I did openly state that I disagree with him. That was the whole point of the video, which I addressed multiple times, but I get it since you didn't watch over half of it. Then he stops replying and someone else tags himself in, which I would say they're equally as bad, if not worse, in a debate. So let's start off with a new challenger called Little Man. This entire video can instantly be shut down by acknowledging the fact that you rarely ever run into coordinated dive comps, and even when you do, there's millions of ways to counter it. Well, you can look at my latest streams where over half of my games were with dive comps to prove yourself wrong. If you're talking about competitive, I still encounter dive comps more than nearly any other comp. And to be fully honest, ever since season 2 started, I've rarely seen triple support. You mentioned support CCs like Luna Freeze and Mantis Slate being difficult to hit on a BP or a Spider-Man, when that's literally the whole point. Both those characters can be countered simply by looking at your other support when they get dove on and healing them. If it were so easy to hit support CCs, then everyone would hate them because nobody likes unkillable metas. First, everyone already hates CCs, but your argument is saying the dive counters are hard to land. That's the point I made in the video. But you're trying to attack my video in which I say dive is unfun and unfair to play against? In general, just because something has counters doesn't mean every single counter is reliable, which you agree with. My point wasn't that I want an unkillable meta, I want a chance to fight back. In most dives, you don't even get the chance to do that, even more so if you have no cooldowns as support, like another point you made in the video. He says, your argument about the thing is also just weird, considering the fact that tanks are supposed to be aware of what's going on behind them. That's literally what peeling is. If your thing can't turn around and help you when you're getting dove on, then it's up to the DPSs to peel. If you can't peel, then supports are supposed to peel for each other. That should be common knowledge. Your point about magic is also weird, since she's slowly getting worse in the meta with all the dive counters being added, and she's only been buffed once. She has the slowest time to kill compared to any other dive character except for Iron Fist, which is what makes her not beginner friendly. If you aren't willing to commit to her, then she's damn near unplayable right now. In my opinion, the only reason you like fighting magics is because you could literally have everything you ever need to make her unplayable as a low-key player. She dashes, UTP, or Ruin, which completely shuts down all the prep she did to initiate the dive with the press of a button. Dive isn't OP, it's a skill check. And just like that, you seem to have forgotten me saying in the video that dive can kill support before a tank can even turn around or react. And while I don't see as many thing bans, his slam in the backline is reliant on him having fast reaction time, quick comms, and to realize when the supports are being dove on. But also him quickly running from the front line to the back line before the supports die and then landing the slam on the ground. Unless you think tanks paying attention to their backline is just a tank doing a staring contest to the supports. If a tank peels for the backline as well, it makes a team fight a 5v3. And also, late in the video, I mentioned how dive isn't easy. So you saying magic is hard, you are agreeing with my point again. Saying that dive is a skill check, I can say that about anything in the game. It don't have as much of an impact as your argument as you gave. Supports did 0 healing and you died. Skill check on you. You should have done better, positioned better. You should have killed that opponent. And I don't just play Loki when I play support. I also play C&D with an average of 26k per healing per 10 minutes in comp, which you seem to have forgotten in the parts of the video which you actually did watch. Now off script again, dive is easier than I thought, especially as magic. He makes it seem like magic is impossible to play. He said magic is, and I quote, damn near unplayable right now. I instantly got into her and was getting out 30 kills per game. I can throw a few screenshots here and there of my most recent games, which are in history because I think past 12 they do disappear, so I'll throw the games up right now, which I did do good in. And I only have 2 games in total with magic, which I went below 500. I think my average is around 16 to 3, and my very good games are like, I'm getting more consistently at like 32 and 6. I've gotten most damage in the lobby multiple times, and the most final hits by a lot. If you get dove by a BP and he kills you before you can just press one button, then your reaction time is just abysmal. He is 100% ignoring kills which can happen instantly. Even more so if there are more than one dive attacking the backline at the same time. I bet anyone watching this has seen a video of a dive attacking a support and there's 0 time to react. And he missed another point I made in the video, which is even if a dive doesn't get a kill, they still win. But even if you, as a strategist, survive, you've burned every tool you have. Meanwhile, the diver escapes, resets, and tries again with their low cooldowns. You as a strategist won't get to reset that cooldown of yours. You're now a sitting duck with your new nerfs to your ability cooldowns. And again, his argument can be made about anything in the game. Replace BP's name with any other character, then it holds the same weight. I could change it to, if you get dove by a Hawkeye and he kills you before you can press one button, then your action time is abysmal. If you get dove by a Hela and she kills you before you can press one button, then your action time is abysmal. All these hold equally, if not more weight than his original argument. For the Necros clips, I'm genuinely curious how you look at that and get upset at him. He said dive just isn't good right now, and Stone proceeded to say of course he would say that because he's a dive player, and he gets rightfully defensive. If someone told you support is OP, and you said no it's not, and they went, well obviously you're a support player, you wouldn't be a little confused or defensive about a remark like that? And again, it seems like he didn't watch my video before commenting. I addressed that people would say, well obviously the support player would say that, in the beginning of my video, after I explained my stats. Now, you might be saying, well of course you'll be complaining about dive because you're a strategist main. Well, if you want to go down that road, keep in mind some of those popular content creators who have dive mains say that dive is balanced, if not underpowered. It's not a one-way street, which you will see later on. I acknowledge that the other side would say the exact same thing. It's not a one-way street, as I say in the video. I didn't throw around insults or be passive aggressive. I acknowledged it. Dive is in a good spot right now and doesn't need any changes, as it's only oppressive if you're just bad or just refuse to play around it, which a lot of people do. They just want to play their favorite characters, but the moment they get countered, they don't want to adapt or switch, which is just hard-headed. And I stood to him exactly. If dive is only oppressive and bad, I guess Celestial 1 is full of bad players, and even some Eternity players in my lobbies. Keep that in mind for his next comment. He says, you also mentioned that you're GM. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure you've heard this already, but I'll say it anyway. GM is not high at all, and isn't even an accomplishment to reach. So not only did he not pay attention to the video or what he says, but he also didn't even pay attention to the last sentence he just read. I wasn't agreeing with you when I spoke on magic, since she's not a high skill level character anymore, since in high ranks you can't play around the Thing or Emma, since players, again, communicate. These issues you are having are strictly related to low ranks like Celestial 3 and below. I just want to remind you guys, he is basing his argument off him not double checking the information which he is typing and writing blatantly false information. Then solo back to Celestial 3 and then duo to Celestial 1 with a friend. I'm a Celestial 1 last season, and he can't say magic isn't a hard character, then in the same sentence say it's hard for magic to do what she's meant to if certain characters are at play. I can say this, it's definitely a lot harder if Emma is protecting the backline, but it's still doable. She's not always in the backline, especially if she's solo tanking. Just because a character can counter someone doesn't mean they will always, no matter what. I can say for certain, if Hela's a dive counter, she is definitely not countering me. If Namor's a dive counter, he's definitely not countering me without his Gamma Squid. I can tell you, even though I see some dive characters more, I still see a lot of magics in high ranks. I even saw in Magic check banned the other day. Your example on everything being a skill check is just dumb, because no, you can't say everything in this game is a skill check. Getting one shot by Hawkeye or deleted by Hela isn't a skill check. Getting your ult countered by support isn't a skill check. A support on your team not healing you and you die because of it isn't a goddamn skill check, and that's just them being bad. A skill check in any game is literally what the game implies. It checks your skill. If you get dove on as Loki and you don't put your runes down in time, yeah, you failed the skill check. Why the hell do you think people call quick time events in games like Until Dawn or Detroit Become Human skill checks? Just for fun? So by his logic, let me get this correct. Getting insta-killed by a Hawkeye or Hela isn't a skill check, but being insta-killed by a dive is a skill check. It's just supports being bad. Right. Not to mention, he mentions Loki, who has a 30-second cooldown now after season 2 on his runes. You can get dove multiple times and still not get it back. So if you don't have that and can't place it down, and that's the only thing he gives, you're dead. I flipped his skill check narrative back onto him to show how it didn't work, and he agreed that his logic doesn't work, but he's acting like it's some point for him. Every role has weaknesses, and what you want is for supports to have easier time dealing with their weaknesses. So why not do that to every role? Nerf Wolverine to the ground for tanks, make supports have insane healing and CCs for DPS. These aren't solutions, simply because it ruins other players' experiences. Supports were OP for 2 goddamn seasons, and the moment they're not, their counters need to be nerfed? Do you not hear yourself? Side note, even the devs have admitted that dive is a problem, even in high ranks, and how supports get a lot more pressure.
In this fierce environment, strategists face increased pressure, needing to monitor teammates' health closely while carefully using their key abilities and being mindful of their positioning on the map. Meanwhile, vanguards and duelists must not only attack effectively, but also provide better protection for their strategists to achieve victory. Wow. That's crazy. Even the devs are saying, hey, idiots. And especially, I'm a DPS player, so I know I do this. Hey, idiots. Yeah, you, tanks and DPS. Protect your fucking backline.
I don't want characters to have no weaknesses. I want those weaknesses to be fair. He's trying to twist my words and hope it fits his argument, but if he ever pays attention, if he looks at my video or in the comments, either of our own or others which I debated, he will realize my solution isn't to nerf dives into the ground. It's to tweak them, like changing an animation to better fit a move. For example, I would change it so Spider-Man's webs can't track through a portal in the new map, can't track through a Loki teleport, can't track through a cloak float, can't track through a Wanda phase, can't track through a magic teleport. Literally the only dive characters in this game to be buffed are Magic slightly, Cap, Spider-Man slightly, Iron Fist, and that's it. Now let's look at the buffs to dive counters, / dive counters in general. Penny, the Thing being added, Emma being added, Mr. Fantastic, Bucky, Namor, Ultron soon, Rocket, Loki, Invisible Woman, Hela, Hela Stun, Magneto Bubble, Flyers for melee dives, self-healing for most supports, Groot Waltz, etc. Did he really just say look at the buffs to dive counters, then list Loki, Bucky, and Invisible Woman, who all got nerfs this season? Also, the self-heal for supports got nerfed. Not to mention Loki and Mantis have gotten nerfs every single big update. He can't be serious about his arguments. Even more so that Adam now has a 40-second cooldown to his only counter to dive other than wasting heals on himself. And the Groot Walls are as detrimental to everyone except for Flyers. Groot Walls are equally, if not more, of counter to healing because of walls blocking out healing to teammates. He even mentions Ultron, who isn't even in the game yet, as an example. Supports don't need to fight a dive by themselves. That's so goddamn stupid to even consider. This is what made Overwatch so unfun to play. Supports are what keeps the team alive, and your team needs to protect you. If you don't, then you lose the game. Those are how the games go. If you want supports that can fight off a dive solo, then Overwatch is still free and playable, but NetEase isn't slow, so supports aren't gonna be able to fight off a coordinated dive team alone. Sorry to tell you that. Alright, who wants to tell him that NetEase also worked on Overwatch? I will read exactly what I said to him. You say I'm complaining this whole time, but again, let me repeat. In my video, I explained my history in ranked, my improvement, why I think what I think, why I think the other side always tries to belittle the other side, which thanks for proving my argument, which I made 7 seconds into the video, which each time you type, you prove. I addressed some arguments and offered my opinions. I never stated that I was 100% right, and anyone else that has a different opinion is wrong. I never stated that I wasn't biased, but even so, I still addressed how dives affect duelists, and how yes, dives can die when they mess up, but all of them, even more so Spider-Man, can get back to the objective very quickly compared to anyone else on the team. Now, if you are a flying character, the only counter you have to Spider-Man is to switch off. You have 0 counters to him. I'm curious though, all this complaining you've been doing, and I have yet to see an actual solution to your problem. You said supports should be able to defend themselves? How? What do you have in mind that would make supports completely brain dead easy, or just straight up miserable to play against? Other than what I said before, which was changing it so Spider-Man's webs can't track track through a portal in the new map, can't track through a Loki teleport, can't track through a cloak float, can't track through a wand of phase, can't track through magic portals, etc. Keeping on the Spider-Man line to add consistency, I also either would like to switch to Spider-Man's uppercut, either halving the range or keeping the range and cutting the circle zone around him just 180 degrees in front of them. Even if you want to play it more on the safe side, like the devs did with the 5 to 4 meters, you can even change the uppercut to a leg sweep so it even better fits the damage range. Then they try to stop replying. Now I could list the many other examples of the debates I had in the comments. I will link that video in the description down below just in case you want to see it. A couple people were respectful, but others were just trying to belittle the whole time, playing into my point I made 7 seconds into the video. I want to completely debunk this clip too because it's gone viral and he's just wrong on every level.
Why I hate support players, guys. They're just morons. They're
Real,
idiots, and
real. I wanted to really focus on the support gameplay in the
Shouldn't
background.
be allowed. And he has the nerve to sit there and talk shit about support players. I challenge
He's standing still on card. He doesn't push up. He doesn't position. He's standing on top of card AFK.
every single person that says that strategist is easy to play an entire season as a strategist and make it all the way up to Celestial or beyond.
Okay, I'm gonna be completely brutally honest with you. I don't think it's hard getting Celestial playing only strategist.
If Loki wasn't on that cart, it would barely move at all since he was the only one on it, and it would put Loki more in danger of the enemy if he pushed up with his team. There are some minor things to think about too, like him standing still could make the enemy think he's a Loki clone and hesitate to shoot him. I will admit though, that Loki didn't maximize what he could have done. Like they could have thrown out an illusion to help the team for the immortality fields to make sure they didn't die, but from what he did do, he still made the team survive and win the game. Without him, his team would have died. And who's to say that the enemy team wouldn't have time to portal after they died, because the Loki, nobody was on the cart, nobody was pushing it. So the enemy team could have portaled back to the point, ulted, and won that point, and maybe have held it for the game and won. So that Loki on the cart would have and did win them that game. So that's the end of the comments, but I just want to explain the footage in this video of me playing Magic. Magic is my second most played character of season 2 so far, and I found her easy to get into. I'm kind of doing my own thing with her and evolving my playstyle over time, but right now I'm getting more consistent 30 plus kill games with 15-16 final hits per game, so I think it's working out so far. I'm not sure if it's just because of Magic, but I find dive way easier than I thought it would before. It may just be Magic, but I just find it way easier than what I did in the video previously. I will end on this. If you want to debate the other side, hear them out. Don't purposely ignore what they say, double check your information, and don't throw around insults. And don't be like these 3 people. And the last thing I'll say is this. If you challenge someone to play a dive and they do, it's now your turn to play support. Don't wait until they get buffed. Play it now, because if you don't, that says a lot. You're ignoring this season and waiting for the strategist buffs and for it to not be a dive meta anymore. You're waiting for support to be easier so you can have a better time. Play it now when the supports are on strike. So I'm calling out all dive mains. If you have said to a support that they need to play dive because they don't get it, well, I did that, and I find it very easy. So it's now a support's turn to tell the dive players, go play support before season 2.5 starts, before the strategists get their buffs, so you know what the supports are striking on. And I'll see you guys next time in the next video. See ya.